who joined wait too long. Warm welcome. Good morning. We are very glad to have you with us this morning for the next edition of the webinar Space for Sustainable Tourism. This edition is on space data for sustainable tourism with the emphasis on water management, water scarcity. In many regions, water scarcity is increasingly a challenge. Regional policymaker, people in the regional economy, but also normal citizens are faced with an increased water scarcity. And there we want to look what can be the added value of space data to navigate with this challenge. I like to give you just some brief information on REUS, the Network of European Regions Using Space Technologies. We are a network of European regions. Currently, we have 22 European member regions and 36 associate partners. Our mission is to spread the use and understanding. An important element in this context is that we offer region a joint platform for interregional cooperation and partnerships, for learning more about relevant EU and ESA programs and partnering and stimulating them to look into what others do, share knowledge and information, and we hope to stimulate with this more uptake. We try to help regions to shape and develop their ecosystems. We think bringing together the political level, the administrative level as a user and procurer of space-based services, and the service provider to bridge these groups and engage them in a joint dialogue is quite important. And we think that this will also help to boost new innovations and new inspire regions for new policy approaches. We started this series already in 2023, and you can find on our website previous sessions, especially the Italian region Basilicata contributed, and we presented a lot of best practices from their region. Margarita, could you maybe put the link in the chat where the participants can find information on previous sessions? We also had our past European symposium on the use of space data for tourism and agriculture. And when we look at those two areas, I was told in many regions the water scarcity has come to such a level and to such a challenge that they have to decide between agriculture and tourism, using the water more for the tourism or the agriculture sector. So we really have to look into this question. I'm very glad to welcome today Elena Blanco Villar. Elena, you are the coordinator of the National Commitment for Responsible Tourism, and you speak on behalf of the Directorate of Tourism in Catalonia. Your organization is in charge of the tourism policies and related innovation policies in Catalonia. It would be very interesting to learn more about your organization, about the structure, but also what are your tourism promotion strategy and how are you impacted by water scarcity?
Okay, thanks so much for that invitation. And I will talk in name of the Tourism General Director. I'm going to share my presentation first of all. Full screen. Are you seeing it?
Yes,
okay?
yes.
Full screen. Okay, perfect. So as I said, thanks a lot for that invitation. So in March of 2023, the tourism direction lead the national commitment for responsible tourism. Under that very big message that tourism is not everything, but everything is tourism. It was presented by the government, the president of the government of Catalonia, more or less 1 year before, in March of 2023. And the Catalan commitment for responsible tourism is a model of Catalonia to achieve a better territory to live and a better destination to travel to, bringing well-being to the community through the values of travel. So the community understood as the Catalan territory and the inhabitant of the Catalan territory. So these are the three pillars. The well-being. The well-being is not only understood as economic prosperity, but also environmental, social, and cultural sustainability, a global concept of sustainability. The community contemplates the visitor, the tourist industry, the residents, social agents, cultural and natural assets, academia, and we want to share the travel values, the economy of the visitor and values of trade, the dialogue, exchange, respect, progress, tolerance. So the peculiarity of this commitment is that it starts a process of a collective transformation to be able to create a new model that it's based on this sustainability, understood that environmentally, socially, and regionally balanced. So it's a change of the model as we understood until 2020, the tourism. And it's very, very important that this change is because Catalan tourism wants to be the solution, not the problem. So the sector has to respond to the current social, environmental, and economic challenges. And this commitment is, first of all, transversal because it's connected with everything. It's transformative because the tourism aspires to be a sector within the new economy, and transitional because the changes of the commitment are planned in different temporal terms. So you can find initiatives more in the short term, but also in the medium and long term. In fact, the commitment has not a specific year goal, so it's understood as a long-term model. It's very important to share with you that it's a bottom-up model. So it was made in three phases, and the basic pillar is the participation of all the tourism agents. So first of all, there was a first phase that consisted on drawn a map of the different possible and desirable scenarios for Catalan tourism. And then we had an initial document drawn up. The second phase was to share this initial and very inspirative document with all the different agents of the sector and to achieve a realistic model. So it was very, very important to share with the sector this first document, and they shared with us the different scenarios they work with. And the third phase was, after the second, we received more than 500 amendments, and all these initiatives of the sector public and private agents were incorporated in the commitment. So you have here the different actors they were involved. And we obtained it at the end a wide-scale consensus between the different social, political, and economic agents. This national commitment for responsible tourism is determined, his structure is with 4 axes. The first one is that tourism has to be environmentally sustainable, according to and adapted to the environmental limits of the planet. The number 2 is a socially just tourism, because we need profound changes in the behavior of the visitors, integrating the social and cultural factors of Catalonia. The third one is the territorially balanced tourism. It takes into account the territories, the space ideas. And the last one is the innovation, tourism based on innovation, and it takes into account the availability of different indicators to make the development of this commitment, of the application of the commitment. Okay, the first one, I think, it's the very, very most important axis of this commitment. It's about environmental limits. It has 20. In total, there is 67 initiatives, specific initiatives. Sustainable tourism, there are 23 initiatives. Catalan tourism wants to be a strategic sector regarding to the fight against climate change, decarbonization of the economy, preservation of the biodiversity, energy efficiency, waste reduction, and the rational use of increasingly scarce resources. It's aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And very, very important also, it takes into account the Catalan strategy for adaptation to climate change for the horizon 2023, that says that climate change will affect the tourism sector due to the increase in sea level, the reduction of snow surface, the decrease in thermal comfort, also the scarce in resources such as the water. And we want to share with the tourism sector that regarding climate change, reducing emissions is a global strategy for his survival. Tourism sector has to adapt to climate change and also to reduce emissions to prevent the increasing of temperature. And these are the main ideas of this axis and the main objectives. For example, the characterization of the commitment. It made a very exhaustive work of sharing and taking into account the different strategies Catalonia has signed before the commitment. For example, it makes them the objectives of half greenhouse gas emissions by 2030 and reach net zero by 2050. 10% clean leisure mobility by 2050, for example. And regarding to water, the objective is equate average water consumption of tourism to the residents, and it's for an objective for a target for 2040. Regarding water consumption, it's an evidence that water has become a limit dwindling commodity subject to high demand in certain regions of the world, such as very important in the Mediterranean. The commitment goal is as I said, the equalization of the average consumption of water and energy among tourists and citizens. So we have to avoid the excessive water consumption. But the situation is that there's not a specific regulation about this equalization, and it's a reality that ratios, no, the indicators of water consumption in the tourists are higher than in residents. Nowadays, we have a Catalan legislation in force, that is the government agreement of 2020 about the special action plan in situation of alert and eventual droughts. It has established a system of indicators of drought situation, specifically only for the internal basins of Catalonia, has defined the different drought scenarios and the forecast of water resources management measures of these different scenarios. And this is the map actually today, because it's changing, no, according to the drought scenarios and the situation of the internal basins of Catalonia. Nowadays we have this situation. We are in exceptionality, so the limit of consumption is determined in 230 liters per inhabitant and day. So we have to work in this scenario now, and taking into account that the water tourism consumption has to be similar to this 230. The second axis of the commitment is the socially just tourism. So it's necessary to continue working on improving conditions in this sector, the working conditions, the equality between men and women, between different collectives. Also, a new catalog of tourism professions based on qualifications. Very, very important to take into account the resident. And we want to be to contribute to the well-being of people, and the people of Catalonia has to be at the center of the tourism strategy. The main objectives, for example, is about accessibility for all the collectives, to guarantee the accessibility in the natural areas in 2040. Combat gender inequality and eliminate gender stereotypes, full accessibility of the webs, taking into account the family diversity as a guiding principle for different kinds of tourism. And the third axis is about the territorially balanced tourism. We have a very, very Catalonia is a very tourist destination, and there's a lot of destinations in Catalonia that with a high degree of maturity. So these mature destinations has to be reconverted in a responsible model, and maybe we can identify different areas different to these mature destinations, where other kinds of tourism can be developed. And the main objectives, for example, for urban growth, the capacity of urban growth must be oriented not only to tourist activities, but also other activities different to tourist activities. For example, the residential, commercial, equipment, and productive activities. Very important also to integrate the cultural industries and tourism. It's very important, the cultural tourism in Catalonia. For example, integrating certain cultural activities into tourist circuits, tourism in the creative industries, like cinema, specific musical events, etc. And the last one, the last exit, is the innovation. Innovation can contribute very, very much to sustainability of all the process. So we need, and we are generating new indicators to measure all these specific goals about environmental efficiency, decarbonization, sustainable mobility, water consumption, the accessibility of the different spaces, etc. And we want to develop also new innovative governance. it was begin with the specific process to elaborate this commitment, and we want to continue sharing all this information with all the agents involved. And these are some objectives of the fourth exit. That, for example, we want to increase the average stay because of the tourism. Is for each person is very important to increase this average stay because it will be less. It will have less impact in the environment, for example. And nowadays, in May, 1 year later, we have 218 affiliated entities of, you can see, different kinds of entities, territorial, specific nominal companies and associations of companies, trade unions, tourism associations, universities, research centers, civic entities, environmental, cultural, and others. Here you have the percentages. And nowadays, I'm the coordinator of this commitment, National Commitment for Responsible Tourism. It's very, very early, in April, one month before. And we have also a data technician and a legal technician, and we have to design this operational plan. We have the commitment, and now we have to design this and develop this operational plan to specify different actions, specific with a calendar and specific objectives and indicators to make it real, the commitment within a specific period of time. And we will also our planning mechanism and spaces to debate with all the sector, especially with the entities that are part of this commitment. And that's all. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Elena. This was very interesting and broad presentation. We have also some questions, maybe one comment. Catalonia, the region of Catalonia, is a member of the Nereus network, and it is represented by the Institute of Space Study of Catalonia. And we discuss with the region, and it would be great if in the reflection when you set up your action plan, you could also integrate the dimension of space. We hope maybe this dialogue can inspire you, and we will also send you some more information afterwards. Yeah. And I think we have very good service provider and scientists today with us that hopefully can give you some input. Maybe before we move on with the best practices, we allow a first round of question. And I see that Isa Tuza from UK put some questions in the chat. I'm not sure we can respond to all of them because they are very broad, but maybe let's see what we can do. How can space data enhance the economic sustainability of local communities dependent on tourism? It's very broad. We can discuss very long. What are the latest advancements in space technologies that can benefit sustainable tourism? And a third one, how can space data help in disaster preparedness and management of tourist destination? And the last one, how can satellite imagery help in monitoring and preserving natural and tourist destinations? I think these are all very important questions, but I think we will come in the broader discussion throughout the session to them. It's a bit difficult now from your presentation to answer these broader questions. Are there any concrete questions to Elena where you want to ask something about the Catalan tourism strategy and the national commitment they took for sustainability? Please put your question in the chat. Okay, if there are none, I have one. when you designed your strategy and in your interactions so far, was the dimension of satellite technologies addressed? Were they part of your discussions, or is that something new you are looking at?
I have to to say that I really don't know, but in the discussion there was a specific space about data and indicators, and to make it possible the commitment, and especially to see how we can develop and we can make the commitment to make it real. No, we are saying we are going to reduce emissions, we are going to contribute to social equality, so we need indicators, we need data. So I don't know exactly if in the previous process of the elaboration of the commitment, specifically special data were taken into account. But I know I can say that now I consider it very important. It's a very good source of information to make it possible the operational plan, because the sector has to know the consequences of data, spatial data specifically, the air quality, or the better tourism experience, for example, and the water quality in the rivers, in the sea, and if the sector has this data, they have more information, and they are more capable to adapt to all these realities, because maybe the scientifics have the data, but this data has not arrived to the final consumer, that is the tourism sector. So I think it's very important to integrate this kind of data, of course.
Okay, so
we are on time, because we are designing now the operational plan, and the entities now they can join us. So the entities, it's a process, a long process in the long term, and if you are interested, you can join to the commitment, to the Catalan commitment, and we will specifically we can work together to integrate all this spatial data. Yeah, of course. I think it's very interesting. Yes.
Thank you. I think this answers the question from Roberta Pascolini from Lazio region. I think you are now really going to the more practical side of the strategy and the concrete action plan, and there you invite stakeholder, service provider, scientists to join you and to highlight what can be the power of satellite data and to integrate these tools and sources of information into your action plan.
Exactly. But it's very important to identify the different actors by joining to the commitment. There's a web link I can share with you, because we are constructing this database of actors, and we will prioritize all these. Now we have 200, and we are making different groups, different interest groups, and for the availability of data, you are a very necessary group. Yeah.
Okay. Now we move on, speaking about the practical side. I think it's a good moment to move on to the best practices we have identified for this session. And maybe for you as background information, we are very glad to bring best practices of our regions to the floor. The speakers who join us today, they volunteer. We promoted the idea of the webinar and they responded to us, and then we invited them. If there is any service provider from your region who would like to share an experience, a best practice for us, please contact the Secretariat and we will be glad to see how can we accommodate you in one of the next webinars. We are extremely pleased to welcome Maria Jose Escorihuela. I hope I pronounce it correctly. You are a senior research scientist from ISARSAT. It is an R&D enterprise that produces EU solutions, and you are based in Catalonia, the region that has just presented its tourism strategy. Maria, please, the floor is yours for the best practice that's very relevant for today's session, remote sensing for water management and coastal monitoring. Please, the floor is yours.
Okay, yes, thank you for inviting me to this session. I think we will be giving answers to some of the questions that were raised just in the first part of the meeting today. I have divided my presentation in two parts. So first part, very short parts. We will be explaining what we are doing in water management. And then we will be showing our service for coastal monitoring. Okay, so I'm gonna share my presentation. Okay, so first a few words about ISARSAT. So ISARSAT is a research and services enterprise in the Earth observation field. So our aim is to improve the quality of our Earth by understanding the nature of its changes. We are an SME intensive in research. We were founded in 2006 in Barcelona, and we are today a team of more than 60 remote sensing experts based in Barcelona with a subsidiary in Guildford. These are showing some of our partners and funding institutions. We are organized in 3 units. We have a unit of what we call space and technology, which is working closer to the satellites. We have a department of scientific applications that I'm leading. And then we have a unit about operationalization of our scientific applications, but also that is developing climate services, which is called Lobelia, and that recently a spin-off as a self-standing SME itself. So the kind of things we do at ISARSAT is we mostly work with microwave instruments. We do work in their design, performance, calibration, validation, and we develop the signal processing of these sensors. So we are involved in ground prototype processors and also in mission performance centers for these satellites. But we also develop advanced processing for scientific applications, as we were explaining before. And we do exploitation platforms and toolboxes and operational use services. With respect to the scientific applications, because we mostly work on microwave data, we are very related to hydrological applications. So what is related to water management, drought, flood and risk fire, and also irrigation. So for instance, we have an operational service to monitor soil moisture from remote sensing data at 1 kilometer that provides data back to 2010 at different soil moisture depths. And we have been working in increasing the resolution of these products to the parcel scale. All these developments and algorithms are thoroughly validated and are published in scientific publications. So one practical application of these kind of products is what we call the Observatory de la Sequera, the Terra Alta i l'Alt Penedès. This is a live project, Clinomics, that wants to support, well, mitigate the effect of climate change in vineyards, which is a product of high impact. And we are helping transitioning them to support irrigation by helping them in the monitoring of the soil status. So this is a project in conjunction with the different institutions, and what we do is to provide the remote sensing data, so to monitor the status of the drought. So we provide operational weekly bulletin where there are several in situ stations in the area. There are several indicators derived, and our role is to provide this map that helps to understand, to translate from the in situ data to the spatial representation of the soil status, where blue would be over average and wet, and red would be under average dry. So this is an example that could be applied very easily to tourism applications like golf courses, because now we are upgrading this service to be developed at the 100-meter scale. Okay, so as I said, Lobelia takes these scientific developments and operationalize them, but also they are developing other aspects by themselves related with visualization of data, very powerful data processing with AI, and also climate projections. So the second part of my presentation will be related to this service they have implemented, which is about the monitoring of the coastline change. That is relies on two types of data: optical data and SAR data. So this is an image. Well, this is a summary of the service with optical data. It can go back to 1984 with Landsat data with a resolution of 30 meters, but from 2015, because of the eruption of Sentinel data, the temporal sampling is much higher than earlier, and also the spatial resolution has increased. So okay, before doing a PDF, we would be seeing here the change in the coastline. I'm sorry about that, because it was clearly seen that, so that was back in 1985, but so now it has been going backwards. And this image, so we have already processed the entire Catalonia. These images clearly show the increase of resolution. This is with Sentinel-2, and this is with Landsat.
So concretely, with the data that you are working on, you can show to responsible in the tourism sector how the coast develops, how it goes always more inside land, and you losing beach place.
Yes, we can show that. Yes, I will be showing some examples with in different. So this is the methodology for, very briefly, for the optical processing.
Please, Maria, sorry, please remember,
yes.
we have something like 10 minutes, really to the point.
10 minutes. Okay, sorry, I was not.
Two other speakers that we really get to.
I'm sorry, I was not aware of the time.
No,
then I will
please,
be very brief. So these are imagine showing the change, and this is with SAR. With SAR, we have more frequent data, and so we are able to derive the change on every place of the coast. So, for instance, here it would be no change Here it would be an accretion, and here it will be an erosion. And so, the SAR data is more complex to process. These are examples in different places, but yes, but the data is acquired more frequently. So, and with that, you can have the slides afterwards, so you will be able to see it. And just to summarize, yes, there is this coastline change monitoring service. It can start back to 1984. It's robust to meteorological conditions, day and night, and the change rate can be estimated at the 10-meter, 100-meter spatial resolutions. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Elena. Maria, sorry. Maybe, Elena, you saw the presentation of Maria. You are responsible from the tourism sector, and I think the Catalonian coast is also strongly requested by tourists. It's a very popular tourist destination. What is your view on what you just saw?
First of all, I would like to share these kind of maps with the sector. It's not, for us, it's an evidence, but I don't know if the sector has in the paper this kind of maps, because we as a government have to know it and to share it. And this kind of information, I think, has to arrive and to be in the agenda of the sector, specifically the sector that has the infrastructure in the littoral. And of course, the authorities in the impact assessment, and everyone has his responsibility. But in the long-term perspective, the sector is very, very conscious about this situation and what is planning for the future.
Maria, with the observations you made and the data that you analyzed, can you say how much kilometer of coast, or can you quantify how much coast Catalonia lost, for example?
We have maps that have estimated the rate of change for all the Catalonia coast. And then if we project this to the future, yes, we have it. I mean, we have not estimate how much you lose, because in some places there is a slight increase. It's not homogeneous. You cannot say in one of the slides I was passing a bit fast. We could see in the Tordera that there was gaining. It was accretion in one part and erosion in the other one. But in general, yes, there is a loss of coast. I think it's important because there is always a reason behind these mechanisms, and it's interesting to understand them, because you cannot fight the nature, right? But I think it's more intelligent to understand why it's happening.
Thank you so much, and it was very moving to see those satellite images where you can see how the coastline moves. We got a comment by Aldo Drago from Malta. He would like to get in direct contact with you and ask your email. I don't know how we do it. You can either put it in the chat, or else you can also send it to us from the Secretariat, and then we can send it to Aldo as you wish. But he would like to get in chat.
There is no problem.
Okay, good. Then we move on to the next best practice, to Daniela Iasilo. Daniela, you work for Planetech Italia, based in Bali, or one of the key stakeholders in our partner region, Apulia. And your best practice is Map to Fish, a fish stock service for tourism. And your own region is also a very renowned and popular tourist destination. So I think a lot of the things that Elena addressed is also very relevant for Apulia region, no? Please, the floor is yours.
Thanks a lot, Roya. Okay, as introduced by Roya, I work in Planetech Italia. Planetech is an Italian company located in Puglia region, and our mission is to simplify the complexity of the space, providing a solution based on Earth observation to end users. The service that I will present today was developed by Planetech Hellas, that is our sister company located in Athens. Map to Fish is a service developed with the funding of the European Space Agency under a program called Innovation Application, which aims is to stimulate new ideas for bring on the market new services. Just a moment. I'm not able to go. I will do again the sharing. Okay. Okay.
Yes, we see
how it works. So, sorry, I see this day. Which is the idea? Understand how Earth observation can support the tourism in the Mediterranean area. Essentially, this service want to reply to some questions for fishing tourist operator and also professional and amateur anglers. They every day have this question: where will I go to fish? Where I will go the tourist to fish? And to reply to this question, they need weather prediction, also including sea state, which is the situation in some specific area in the sea, and of course combine this information with their knowledge and past experience. So considering this, the idea is to simplify this sometimes complex process using Earth observation dataset. For providing a first demonstration, we selected the Greece because there are a lot of relevant good point in Greece. First, Greece has the largest number of fishing vessels. Then they have a great tradition in professional fishing, and they have also the longest coastline in the Mediterranean. And of course, it's also a good location for tourism and also for fishing amateur. So, which is the idea? The idea is to provide from the satellite some information related to the probability of fish concentration, some information related to the sea condition, such as sea surface temperature, chlorophyll, but also waves and current, and provide this information through a portal accessible by web, and also through a web app. So now I wanted to thank the really inspiring presentation done by Elena before, because they speak a lot about the sustainability. And also in this project, we consider this aspect as really, really relevant. For this reason, we decided to mask all the marine protected areas and also to not give information outside the fishing period. Which is the way we work. We consider three different user typology. We consider, of course, company and organization that work on coastal and tourism activities. We consider also some professional angles and also some companies interested in putting in this portal some advertisement. The main user is a fishing trip, because a fishing trip is a lot of fishing boats located in all Greece and is really active in this touristic sector. But also other users are interested. One is the administration of Peloponnese, Western Greece and Ionian Sea, and also Karakatis hotels, that is a touristic hotel company with a lot of location in Greece. We collect all these people during a session where we present the idea and collect from them a long list of technical requirements. We translated this in a service specification, and we decided to provide this new service in form of a web portal and a mobile application. When users enter in this app, on this mobile, they find information related sea state and related the fish concentration probability located in some areas. This is the portal that we developed for this application. Really important for what concern the information related to sea states, they are provided in a lot of portals. For example, also in CMEMS it's possible to find every day this information. But the real innovation was the model for calculating the probability of fish concentration. This model was based on a model that merged MODIS and VIRS data, and it provides gradient of sea surface temperature and chlorophyll. This model was developed some years ago by a company called GAP. GAP is a spin-off of University of Bari, and it is also participated by Planetech. They worked to calibrate and validate their algorithm thanks to the availability of a fishing vessel group that provided a large data set with date, geographic position, catch and species composition along an area in the Adriatic Sea. Thanks to this, GAP was able to develop this algorithm and to provide also forecast that was validated by the same users. The same methodology was applied in Map2Fish in an area close to Corfu Island, selected with the users. This is an analysis done in the project because, as I mentioned, this is an innovation project, and the aim is to understand which is not only the technical feasibility, but also the financial and the commercial. So we did also a business analysis. We analyzed which are the competitors in this sector. And we find that the most important is Fish Track. It is a company located in North America where this system based on Earth observation data are very popular and diffuse. This means that also in our Mediterranean Sea, there could be a potential market for this solution. So we also provided some financial projection to develop this prototype solution for a real market. Before to close the presentation, I want to say that this methodology was developed for touristic purposes, but the same model, the fishing stock model, can also be used for sustainability purposes. And in this moment, we are using for another use case asked from the Asian Development Bank to support Cambodia Agriculture and Fishery Ministry to implement a new regulation for fishing and aquaculture in territorial waters. And we use the same algorithm in an area in Cambodia. I want to thank you for the attention, and of course feel free to contact me in any moment if you need more details.
Thank you, Daniela, for this interesting presentation and bringing us to the fishery. And I read on your website that Planetech was awarded as most sustainable company. Could you say one or two sentences about this award and how it is linked with satellite data?
Yes, we have always a special attention to the sustainability of our solution. But now in 2021, if I remember, we become also a benefit company. That is a new company typology that in Italy is diffusing in these years. This means that we have a special attention to the sustainability, not only of the solutions that we provide for our customers, but also to the sustainability for our people in the company, for the well-being of all our person. And we also are really active in doing a lot of training and promotional activities to promote the use of spatial solution in a lot of sectors.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Are there any questions or reactions to the two best practices we just heard? Put your question in the chat.
Vittorio has raised his hand.
Yes, but unfortunately we are too many to give. Please put your question in the chat.
In the chat.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, we are waiting, Victoria. Good. Maybe in the meantime, just one comment that's maybe for you also interesting in the follow-up. Margarita, could you put the link for the e-magazine? Because we are engaged in a joint initiative with the European Commission and the European Space Agency, Copernicus for Regions. And in that initiative, we worked on 99 user stories showing how regions use Earth observation successfully in different regional domains. And we just published an e-magazine, and in that magazine is a use case also from Catalonia around water scarcity. Now, Victoria, and here Margarita sent you the link, you can download it. And now we have the question of Vittorio. He asks, connections with fisheries. Daniela, maybe do you have with your service established connections with fisheries?
Yes, first, for what concerns the first question, there is a paper that is published where the algorithm is described. It is in the, I will put the link in the chat. Secondly, the only work, the connection was done here in Apulia when we worked with this group of fishing vessels, and they tested the solution, giving us information related the catch that they found, and we were able to, in this way, to calibrate and validate the algorithm.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Then we move on. There are no more reactions or questions. We move on to the next speaker. Nereus is also a platform to promote European programs, schemes, initiatives, to draw attention of our members of community to open calls and funding opportunities, to support our community in all circles of the project circle, to mobilize initiatives and engage in EU projects. A very important, and maybe also as a background, in the majority of our regions, SMEs are protagonists. Clusters are really important references in the region. Therefore, the Cassini initiative is quite important to our community, and we had several information sessions on this topic. And I'm extremely pleased to welcome Peter Fanik from the USPA to speak to us about the Cassini initiative and Cassini startup activities related to sustainable tourism. Peter, please, the floor is yours.
So, good morning, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be at the webinar. Let me share my presentation first. Okay, is it all good?
Yes.
Yes.
Great, thank you. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Peter Vanig, and I work as an on-site consultant at USPA, which is the EU agency for the space program. And what I'd like to present to you is, first of all, why USPA is involved in the topic of tourism, and what EU space data is available for monitoring water, sort of previously complementing the previous presentations. And I'll explain how USPA supports commercial innovations in water monitoring and tourism through the Cassini initiative. And I'll provide some examples of companies that have participated in the program. So for a little bit of context, a lot of the space data, like satellite imagery, originates in the EU space program. And USPA is the executive agency of the European Commission, which implements the space program. The program has four main pillars, which are satellite navigation, that's through the EU's own global satellite navigation system, Galileo, as well as EGNOS, the satellite-based augmentation system. Then Earth observation through the EU's Earth observation program, Copernicus. And satellite communications through the program GovSatcom and IRIS². And last but not least, space surveillance and tracking, which allows us to track objects orbiting around the planet and avoid collisions with spacecraft. And the space program is important for many reasons, one of which is that it makes our society more resilient, whether it's in the context of geopolitics or climate change, which is what we're mainly talking about here today. In this way, space data helps us realize these ambitious visions like the European Green Deal, the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And if you'd like to know how exactly it helps us do that, last year USPA published this report called the EU Space for Green Transformation, where you can read about how space technologies are helping businesses be more sustainable across a variety of industries. In tourism, you can, for example, use Copernicus to assess the environmental impact of tourism activities, or to make factual claims about the quality of environment of a particular site, or to make decisions about where to place your site based on climate change forecasts. So a bit more about Copernicus. It's the EU's Earth Observation Program, and it provides, this is very key, free and open data to everyone. The data comes from Sentinel satellites, from various contributing missions, and from data sets like in situ sensors. And it's provided through a number of services. I'm providing some examples of satellite imagery useful for water management. So for instance, in the first image, you see the extent of floods in Myanmar. The darker, the more frequently the area is covered by water. And the second image, we see water changing, the changing extent of the water in the dam Panta de la Baez on the Llobregat River in Catalonia. And the third image shows the warming water surface in northwest Australia as an example. Then for water quality, for example, if you're a tourist, you want to swim somewhere, then you don't want to swim where there's algae, right? So there are services that provide you information on the blooms of algae and chlorophyll, both Sentinel-2 and Sentinel-3 satellites. And importantly, it allows you to monitor droughts. Here an example from July of last year, when in some areas of Spain, the land temperature exceeded 60 degrees Celsius. And droughts, of course, have an impact on many aspects of life, including tourism. For instance, one of my colleagues was at the Barceloneta beach just last week, and the beach showers aren't working because of drought. So I took this screenshot from the website just yesterday. And lastly, which is important, Copernicus allows you to get forecasts. Right? So there's so much rich data monitored over a long period of time that the Climate Change Service provides forecasts on rainfall and air temperature. So these are some of the free open data available, and a lot of European startups have created innovative solutions with them. So what's EUSPA's role here? It's twofold. On the one hand, we help startups succeed. And on the other hand, we support the development of new solutions, and we help them go to market, for example, through demonstrator projects. So what EUSPA does is we connect end users of space data, in this case it will be the stakeholders in the tourism industry, and connect them with companies that develop solutions using space data. We help them work together. Every year we also organize the user consultation platform, which is where within the EU Space Week we have sessions with end users of space data and try to understand their needs, and that helps to feed into the improvements of the space program. And what I'm going to be mainly talking about is lastly the Cassini initiative, which is the European Commission's €1 billion initiative to boost space entrepreneurship. Cassini components cater to companies at all stages of growth, starting with hackathons. So if you don't yet have an idea or you want to play with space data, you can attend one of our hackathons, which we organize twice a year. And in fact, the topic of the next one should be environment, which is very relevant. Then there is a competition called Cassini Challenges, where we award cash prizes to support the development of innovative solutions. Right now, we're evaluating the product stage of the competition, where we will award 5 companies with €100,000 each for innovative products. We organize matchmaking at events between startups and investors. For growth stage companies, we have the Cassini Business Accelerator, which is a 6-month intensive program of mentoring and training, followed by a cash voucher. And we also help companies scale. So we have an investor network where we help startups secure investments. The Cassini Investment Facility is one of these Cassini components that distributes funds to 13 VCs to co-invest in promising companies. So in case you're a company that's thinking of using space data, this is the kind of support you can unlock if you go for Cassini and apply for one of these components. To be more concrete, I'll give some examples of Cassini companies dealing with water monitoring and tourism. So first of all, we have Murmuration. They use Copernicus data and their AI models to calculate custom indicators to assess and anticipate the impact of climate change on the tourism industry. And in fact, tourism is their main vertical, right? So they're mainly working with hospitality sites, with tourism organizations, regional boards, and so on in the tourism industry. And they have developed these custom indicators that help tourism stakeholders understand the environmental situation of the area, the territory where they are, and to optimize the use of resources in the area. and they also help to anticipate the impact of climate change on destinations. Then we have Seacrest. They specialize in coastal water monitoring. So they use Sentinel imagery, but they combine it also with precise on-site data to train their AI models. And of course, it's important because coasts are major tourist sites, and their solutions help stakeholders monitor the impact of tourist activities on coasts. To move away from the heat, we have some solutions for snow monitoring by WaterJade. They have done several activities. For example, they've developed an app called My Snow Maps for hikers in the snow, and it uses Earth observation data to give you the state of the snow in all locations, so off-piste or on-piste, to kind of browse the snow quality and extend in valleys and slopes if you want to go for a hike or ski touring. They've also developed a web platform for near real-time snow monitoring, and that allows users to browse and download daily updates on the data and the reports of snow water equivalent. And based on that, they can kind of understand how much water will be available eventually for agriculture, for energy generation. Okay, and some final examples. We have E2O Green for golf courses, which is a use case that is mentioned already. So they have developed an app for golf course managers and maintenance crews to help them optimize the use of resources like water for irrigation of the golf course. We have EOMAP, who have won the prestigious Cassini Prize to counter marine pollution. And they combine many sources of satellite data to monitor all aspects of water quantity as well as quality. So water pollution, shoreline mapping, inland water quality. And the image that I put here shows an ecologically valuable area in the Aegean Sea. And EOMAP mapped this area for the purpose of preservation or awareness of preservation of natural capital, because this is important for tourism, but of course beyond. And the final example is the most recent one, I would say, because it's by a company called Spascat with their Garotes product, and they have won the idea stage of the Cassini Challenges competition just this year. They combine Sentinel data with custom sensors mounted on buoys in the sea to measure bathymetry near the coast. And in fact, they're currently working with the Catalan Institute of Geography and Cartography, who became their first customer in March last year. So in case you are a tourism stakeholder and you would like to explore how space data can help you, let's get in touch, because I would like to understand your use cases and your needs. And if you're a startup and you have questions about Cassini, also let me know. I'd love to help you out and to explain more. And in general, I encourage everybody to subscribe to EUSPA's newsletter to keep up to date with the latest updates on EU Space. And that's it from my side. So I hope this information was useful, and I look forward to the follow-ups.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Peter. Just one comment from our side to your presentation. The company Mouration, they are based in one of our partner region, Occitanie, and we featured them for our last regional symposium and are very well linked, and hope to welcome them also this year to one of our sessions. So I was very pleased that you choose this example. Are there any reactions, questions to the presentation from Peter? No? Peter, you heard two best practices, and you heard also the presentation from Elena, for really a local authority being in charge of the tourism sector. Do you have any specific questions to Elena when she is now designing also the action plan, and or do you like to give her maybe also a takeaway?
Well, I can maybe mention that Elena would be one of the end users of the space data, or a company which provides other indicators to them would be the end users. So we're very interested in working with also regional authorities to help them understand what kind of data sources there exist to further the actions and to help them make the decisions. And this is where space data comes in very handy and very useful. So of course, I'm very open to exploring further direct collaborations in this way.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. And the two companies we had today who presented their best practices, do you have any questions or reactions to the presentation of Peter, or want to add something?
This is Daniela.
Yeah.
Personally, I think that it could be nice to have a deeper discussion, because there could be a lot of interesting exchange that we have for this touristic sector. I presented today only one solution, but we also have other that could be interesting to show you.
Thank you.
So typically what we would be interested in doing when discussing these use cases is really to deep dive together in a have a separate call, a separate meeting, and then perhaps work on pilot projects, which is what we're interested to really figure out how space data can be used within specific organizations. So we can further discuss that.
Maria, was there any reaction from you? Wanted to add something? Okay, thank you. Then we come to the end of this session. We will continue in the next month and hope to welcome you to one of our future sessions. We will do a follow-up of the initiative today on our website that we will send you also the link. But that gives me also the opportunity to invite you to some of our activities. Very important, we have every year one key event in the regions, because we do things in Brussels, but we have a very strong approach to have also a very strong presence in our member regions. And there we created this event format, a European Symposium by Nereus Regions, and we go each year in a different country, a different region, and define a topic with high relevance for regions. This year it will be hosted by the French region Occitanie in its capital Toulouse. It will be on the 2nd and 3rd of October, and the topic is water management, energy. Looking how space data, space services contributes to these challenges. Margarita put already the link in for the next webinar on education and training. Margarita, if you like, take the floor and make a short announcement on what the participants are to expect.
Yes, very shortly. So the next education training webinar is scheduled for the 18th of June. Same hour, 11 from 11 to 12:30, and this time we will explore funding opportunities from Marie Curie's program in the European Commission. We will also have one of our Nereus members presenting his institute based in Bulgaria. It's about technology transfer and innovation, but also a young visual artist who makes movies for planetariums across Europe. So it would be a very interesting and diverse panel. I would welcome everyone to join, register and join. And that it's all from my side.
Okay, thank you. Good. Then I wish to thank all the speakers and the participants for joining, but the speakers, you put really a lot of effort in very interesting presentations that stimulated our debate today. And I really hope we can continue this discussion in the next week. Elena, also, if you have other local and regional authorities from other regions, please feel free to introduce them to us. We are really interested to make tourism, challenges of the tourism sector and the perspective of local and regional authorities, of the people being in charge of these policies, being in charge of implementing policies for the sector, to really better connect, bridge them with our community and bring best practices, bring the knowledge of satellite data to them and discuss with them.
Okay, perfect. Yes, it's a very, it has a lot of local and regional competencies, tourism. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, good. Then we can close for today and we thank you all.